Thanks for checking out this movie review video. This is for the 2024 release Smile 2, and I actually rented it through Fandango at home for $6.35 with tax. I was waiting for this one to drop because I was on the first Smile, although I think compared to the trailer, the film ended up being a lot better than I thought it would be, but I still didn't love it. And I saw online that actually the second one is getting better reviews than the first one. So I was like, okay, well then I feel like I should check it out. Maybe it'll make my top, 2015, whatever I do list of 2024 horror films. Don't think so. This one's pretty... I'm very conflicted on this one. Because there are some things that I think really worked and are really good about it. But then there are a lot of other things that I think are very problematic with the film. And obviously, I'm going to go over that in a no spoiler way with this review. So again, Smile 2, this one's written and directed by Parker Finn. The only other feature film this person's done was the original Smile film. And I'm going to say, with a movie like this, at least how this second film plays out, I wish that Parker Finn would have taken on maybe another writing partner, because it's obvious that there are some really good ideas here from Finn, but I think they needed a better writer. I'm just going to be honest. They needed a better writer to come up with something else. Or it is also a situation where maybe given enough time, Finn could have come up with a better script. Because I don't know. I think it is potential that there was a really quick turnaround on when the studio wanted to make this second film. Because that does happen to filmmakers. I mean, famously, well, I don't know if people know about this one, but Don Mancini, who did the Child's Play franchise, the Chucky franchise, has said that he didn't feel great about the script for the third film because he was rushed. Because the studio said, you have this very quick turnaround, you need to do it. So he wasn't able to do the film exactly the way he wanted to, because he just had to write the script real fast. And I think it's possible that that's a little bit of what was at play here. But that said, there are some really good ideas here. There are some really good things about it. I just wish that he had taken on another writing partner maybe to be a better writer. I don't know. Yeah, but anyway, quick synopsis. I don't want to give you too much. Really, you shouldn't be watching this review if you want to see this film and you haven't seen the first film. You should just see the first film, because this one picks up 6 days after the final events of the first film, which is great. I love that aspect of it, that they're just going to keep the story going. So you literally could sit down and do a double feature if you wanted to, which they actually have a special sale going on Fandango at home right now for the double pack of both the films, which is a good idea. But it ends up following someone different, and if you've seen the first film for a few reasons, you'll know why that is. And it's this music star who's kind of like a Taylor Swift style person, or maybe like a Lady Gaga, or as Zach Galifianakis from The Hangover said, Lady Gaga. So it's that type of character, which for me personally, I don't really like that choice of a character. I understand why they did it when you get to the end of the film, but I think there's a lot of, kind of a disconnect with getting that character to actually feel like someone you super want to root for with the audience. Oh, sorry, you might see my cat's tail come by. That's Willow's tail. She's very cute. I've always hoped that she'll get in my lap when I'm doing a review. Oh, you see a little bit of her. Yeah, you can get in my lap. Go ahead, girl. She's a very sweet cat. Anyway, so I don't want to say too much about the story just because of the fact that it is a continuation of the first film. And if you've seen the first film, you're going to know what you're in for, basically, with the second film, story-wise and concept-wise. It's just different characters, basically, and they kind of are doing things on a larger scale to a degree. So, I love you. Sorry, she's so cute. And so, anyway, that's basically going to be my synopsis. Just following someone different, picking up 6 days after the first film. It's pretty high octane from the start with some great continuous camera work. Now, it's one of those things where the opening sequence is very intense. It's very high octane. It's very engaging, and it really does suck you in. You're like, okay, I'm here for this. This is very interesting. Now, After that, it goes back, you know, because it's the whole title card after that sequence, and then it goes back and it kind of slows things down, has to introduce you to, okay, this is who the main character is going to be for this film. And then things really slow down a lot. Now, you do get some more sequences that are like that first sequence that end up being pretty good, but for the most part, it really does slow down. And this film is bloated, in my opinion. It's a little bit, I think it's like 2 hours and 6 minutes with credits included, and it's too long. It's way, way, way too long. This is a film that really should have just been like an hour and a half max. An hour and a half max, because the film feels bloated. The pacing is not great. And there are a lot of sequences where it's just it's something that you're just like, why are we even seeing this right now? There's literally a scene, and this is when it hit me when I was watching the film. There's literally a scene where you have the performer, this main character, is getting ready to, you know, do one of her shows, and she's just doing all these like vocal exercises and getting ready. It does nothing for the film. It adds absolutely nothing. It doesn't matter to the story whatsoever. And this film's over 2 hours. Like, why are you even going to include a scene like this? And that's what I kind of mean about the script, is like, we didn't need this. This needed kind of some more heavy editing done to it. Maybe the producers needed to step in a little bit more and be like, we don't need this horror film that's a sequel to a film that people thought was okay being over 2 hours. Like, we just don't need it. It's just so unbelievably bloated. And that's one of my biggest issues with the film, unfortunately. But I really did love that opening sequence, going back to that. The score is so unbelievably in your face. The composition is great. I love the composition of the score. It's wonderful. It's very like kind of like creepy and feels just very off a lot of the time. But they crank it. They just crank it to 11, and it's like the filmmaker screaming at you, saying, you are stupid. I need to lead you by the hand and tell you this is how you should be feeling right now. But I'm not just going to lead you by the hand. I'm also going to scream in your face about it. It's just ridiculous. So not a fan whatsoever of how they use the score. The score itself is good. Just how they chose to use the score. One of my pet peeves, you know. I forgot how stupid the smiling aspect of this film, of the first film, actually was until it actually shows up in this film. When they start doing the whole creepy smile thing, I'm just like, oh, that's right. It looks so stupid and hokey and cheesy. So I still don't like that aspect of it. I really wish that, I mean, there's nothing they could do about it for the second film, because the first film, you know, already established the whole smiling thing, but plus it's called Smile. But I wish they would have chosen some other like facial something that could have been done, because it's just it just looks dumb. But that's just, you know, maybe that's just me. There is some nice gore in this film. There's some really nice gore in this film. Now, I would have liked more of it, but when it happens, it's very satisfying for people who are kind of like gore hounds like myself. You want to see great practical effects. There are some great practical effects. They do mix in some really well done CGI as well for sequences that when you see it, you'll be like, yes, there's not really much of any way they could have done this with practical effects, or it just would have been way too involved to make it happen, especially at the end of the film. So I really like the gore when it happens. I think that's phenomenal about this film. The acting, unfortunately, is not consistent, and some of it is downright bad. There is some really poor acting in this film. I don't understand how they cast this film. Although, I do need to say, Naomi Scott, who plays the main character in this, really did do quite a good job with a very demanding role. I thought she was really good. She stands out. Makes sense because she's the main character. That's how that should be. But it does her a disservice to surround her with a bunch of people who don't do a great job. And again, it makes me wonder, how did they cast this film? It seems like maybe it was, well, I've got this friend over here and I've got this friend over here. Like, that's how it comes off, is that these people aren't great actors in the first place. And this looks like a very high production film. So there's really no excuse for not casting better around this main character. Again, Naomi Scott, very good job. At times, it feels like they're more focused on the costuming and the set design than they are actually the story and moving the story forward, which is very unfortunate. It becomes these moments of just, you feel that it's visuals over everything else. Like the filmmaker is just kind of gratifying himself by being like, I can just make this look so cool, and we'll just have the shot go on way too long because I think it looks cool and it makes me look like kind of a visual genius. And yes, this film looks very good. The cinematography is wonderful. It's shot in very interesting ways at certain times. The camera work is very interesting a lot of the time, some cool angles. The set design is very good. The costuming is very good. But I would also argue it's too over the top, and it actually takes away from the story because you feel like it's being focused on so much. And you're just like, is this a glamour film or is this a horror film? Like, what is the main story? Are we supposed to be going with the whole Smile storyline right now? Or are we going off on this side tangent of, hey, look at this costuming. Hey, look at this set design. Look at how much we put into it. Yeah, great. But we don't need to focus on it that much because you're taking away from the story. You're taking away from the overall film, in my opinion. So that was one of my big issues with it. It needed to be heavily edited down because there are a bunch of scenes that are just for no reason, like the whole vocal warm-up thing I was talking about. The whole movie feels like rich celebrity problems, and I couldn't really care less. It was very hard, as I was kind of talking about this earlier, it was very hard for me to really sympathize all that much with the main character. Just because it felt very out of place, especially based off of what was going on in the first film and who the main character was in the first film. You're just kind of like, why are we going so big with this? Why are we going with this kind of very out of touch, rich celebrity? Like, it's just, I don't know. Maybe that's just a me thing, but I really find myself just being like, I don't really care that much. You know, like, I didn't really feel for this character a whole lot. And I think part of that is the writing of the character and how they're introduced. So I don't know. But maybe that's just me, like I said. Again, some really good CGI in this. They outright say in this film what should end up being subtext, which again is one of those things where you're treating your audience like they're stupid. It's literally saying, as a filmmaker, I don't trust that you are smart enough to understand what I'm trying to tell you here. So I'm going to have a character literally say it to you. And that's insulting. And I know that what is being said, everyone's picking up on. It's blatant anyway. So you don't need to be so condescending to your audience, unfortunately. The other thing is, this film feels like a not so great done ripoff of the Darren Aronofsky film Black Swan. The whole, like, stage performance aspect of it and, other aspects of it I'm not going to go into because spoilery. But it feels so much just ripped right off of Black Swan. And I hate seeing that stuff. Having inspiration's fine, but literally ripping stuff off, I'm not into it. But yeah. All that said, though, I do think the ending was pretty good. I was very surprised by that because I started to wane as the film was going on and just being like, I'm getting really tired with this because it's so overly long and our focus isn't in the right place with this. But I think they really did get me back at the end of the film because they did have, I'm assuming almost from the outset of starting to write the script, they did have a really good idea of what they wanted to do in the end. And it was good. I really did enjoy what they did with the ending, but it doesn't save the whole film, unfortunately. So out of 5 stars, half stars in play, I'm going to give it a 2.5 star rating. I thought about going 3, so just know that, but I'm just so conflicted on where I should put it that says to me it should be smack in the middle, 2.5 out of 5. So anyway, would love to hear other people's opinions of this one. Go ahead and put it in the comments. We can talk spoilers in the comments. That's totally fine. Do me a favor, if you like this review or anything you've ever seen from me, subscribe to my channel to support me, to just say, hey, I like what you're doing. Thumbs up on the videos is also very helpful for that YouTube algorithm. Also, hitting the notification bell button will let you know when I'm putting up new videos. And if you want to pitch in a little bit monetarily, I have 2 tiers of memberships on the channel for a very small fee monthly for some perks. And you can see all the information about that. There's a link in the description. So if you are so inclined for that. But regardless, thank you so much for taking your time to watch this video. I appreciate it. And if you stuck around this long, I'm going to go ahead and see if I can kind of show you a little bit of my girl Willow. Willow. Oh, she's so cute. That's just a little bonus for the people who stick around. But anyway, thank you everyone for checking this out. Until next time, keep it brutal.